What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. Hope we're doing well. Back in for taking the day off Friday. Let's get into it. We had a couple of small moves in the NHL. Pittsburgh Penguins made a couple of small moves. First, they acquire a former Calder Cup MVP goalie, Arturas Sheilov from the Vancouver Canucks. They send a prospect the other way. It was Chase something. I'm gonna get his info in a minute. Sheilov's hasn't played much in the NHL at the NHL level. The Chase Stillman is who goes to Vancouver. He's been in the AHL for a bunch of years. Sheilov's hasn't done much in the NHL. He's been mainly in the AHL. But if you remember, 2 years ago, he took over for an injured Canucks team when Thatcher Demko went down. Their Vezina finalist goalie that year, and played really well in that playoff run. To the Western Conference semifinals 2 years ago. So he goes to Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's kind of searching for a goalie. Obviously, the Tristan Jarry experiment didn't work. Maybe Sheilov gives him something. He's still only going to be, I think, 24 years old. They send Stillman to Vancouver. He's a forward. In the OHL, a couple years ago, he had 19 goals and 48 points in 2023. 2 years ago, goes to the AHL, had 14 goals and 24 points. This past year, only 3 goals and 9 points in the AHL between two different teams. Now he's in the AHL, so he's still on the younger side, still just 22 years old. From Canada, was a first-round pick by the Devils in 2021. He ended up getting sent to Pittsburgh last year in a trade, and now, of course, he's being sent to Vancouver. So small trade happens there. Penguins stayed busy. Another smaller move. They acquire Matt Dumba from the Dallas Stars. Dumba's been around a while. I forgot the guy was still in the league. I was in Minnesota for a while. Most recently, was in Dallas. He gets sent to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They send a young defenseman the other way. Dumba doesn't give you much on the back end anymore. He is going to be 31 years old, but he is still a solid puck mover. Numbers didn't show up the page last year, just 10 points last year, not only 1 goal, but he's still a solid, at least depth defenseman who can move the puck. He's not an all-star anymore. Actually, he's never made an all-star team. He's not the guy that had 14 goals and 50 points in 2018. He's been in the league for a while. Vladislav Kolyachonok, actually, if I pronounce that right. He goes to the other way, Dallas. He hasn't played a whole lot in the NHL. He's kind of bounced around. He's only got 14 career points in 74 career games across 4 years in the league. So basically a depth defenseman. Second round pick by Florida in 2019. He is only going to be 24 next year. So Dallas gets a young defenseman, picks up a veteran for basically a depth defenseman swap. And one more hockey move. The Colorado Avalanche extended Josh Manson a 2-year extension worth about $3.9 million a year. Manson is a solid defenseman. Has been for a while. Was in Anaheim for a long time. He's been in Colorado since the trade deadline in 2022. 15 points last year, only 1 goal, but he's a good puck mover. He's very solid defensively, and Colorado gives him a 2-year extension. Heading into basketball, and then we're going to talk about the home run derby, and we got some wrestling, and then that's really all I have today. The Oklahoma City Thunder continue to open their pocketbooks. They extend Jalen Williams on a 5-year extension worth up to $287 million. The same deal the rookie 5-year max that Paolo Banchero with the Magic got. 3-year license for Jalen Williams. Averaged 21 points, 5 and 5. Shot 48% from the field, 36% from 3, and was an all-defense guy. Was a big part of, was in the All-NBA third team as well, all-defense second team. Was a big part and was an all-star, big part of the Oklahoma City Thunder's championship team this year. So now I'm paying Shea, Chet Holmgren, and Jalen Williams $882 million. So second half is definitely coming for them, thankfully. Right, basically the same group coming back with all that depth. Topich was the first rounder last year. A lottery pick is going to be joining them. Plus, they have all those draft picks, so they are still in a good spot. But Thunder open up their purses and give Jalen Williams a huge contract. And the New Orleans Pelicans also extend. They make an extension. They extend one of the better young defenders in all of basketball in Herb Jones. he gets an extension. This past year only averaged 10 points a game, which is about what he has for his career. And he didn't shoot the ball super well, but he is one of the best wing defenders in the entire NBA. Herb Jones, still really young, gets a 3-year extension worth $68 million. He was an all defense guy this year, as he has been for a couple of years. At least he's been playing at that level. Pelicans are in a spot where, they kind of missed their window. We're not sure what's going on with Zion. They've had a weird offseason now, so they make a change in the front office. But at least they lock up an elite 3 and D piece who before he even hits his prime on a 3-year deal worth $68 million. Herb only shot 30% from 3 this season, and 4 from the field. He missed most of the year with injuries and only played 20 games, but was relatively healthy his first 3 seasons. I'll never played a full season, but didn't miss too many games. And in first 3, he has shot 36% from 3 and 47 from the field. So he and last time he was full healthy, he was a first-team all-defense guy and finished top 5 defensive player of the year voting. So one of the best young wing defenders in the league who can also shoot. Only going to be 27 next year. He gets a 3-year extension from New Orleans Pelicans. So quickly before we talk about the wrestling this weekend, I want to talk about the Home Run Derby. That is tonight. These are the 8 guys participating. We got Jazz Chisholm from the Yankees. That was a bit of a surprise. I know a lot of guys turned it down, so they probably had to scramble. He's got like 18 or 19 home runs this year. He does have some pretty good power, but I'm not certainly a home run derby guy. Brent Rooker has had another really good season. He's a Junior Caminero from the Rays, who's had a great year. He's in there. O'Neal Cruz, who should be exciting. You see, obviously, only hitting a little over 200, but he's got a lot of power. He has obviously had a bunch of hits that have been like 120 mile per hour exit velo. Got Byron Buxton, who's finally hit help this year. He's had a great season. James Wood, who I cannot believe is not an all-star, has got 24, 25 homers, hitting 280 with a 930, 940 OPS. Yeah, okay. Kyle Raleigh, who would be the AL MVP favorite if Aaron Judge wasn't doing crazy stuff. He's got almost 40 home runs at the break. OPS over 1,000. It was supposed to be Ronald Acuna Jr., who's been outstanding. Who's coming off the IL, but because of a lingering injury, he was replaced by his teammate, Matt Olson. He's had a great year, but still very good. And he's got a lot of power. So those are the home run derby guys. My pick is Cal Raleigh. I think it'd be really cool to see him win. For O'Neal Cruz, that guy, he hits the ball really hard. You obviously now you're timed in the home run derby. So, those like moonshots actually don't really help you too much. Once you get the 450, 30-foot bonus for the extra 30 seconds, whatever it is, doesn't really matter. You want to, have them. You want to hit line drives out. That's what O'Neal Cruz does. So he's kind of built for the home run derby, if you ask me. But moving on to finish off the show, I'm going to talk some wrestling. We had Saturday night's main event for Saturday. Of course, in Atlanta, Georgia, at the State Farm Arena. This was lackluster to say the least. We started off, we have a United States Championship. Jacob Fatu. Sol Sikoa defending against Jimmy Uso. Sol Sikoa wins. The match was To me, the match was going pretty well. This was never going to be that long of a match. And we all knew Solo was retaining. But the way they finished, you had Jimmy Uso take out a Tangaloa, Jason Mateo, then like Talatong just comes up from behind, like distracts him, and like he holds him down while Solo rolls him up just very abruptly. They could have ended that way better, and the MFTs take out Jimmy Uso, Solo hits him with the Samoan spike, and then Jacob Fatu comes down, makes his return, and clears house. I assume they are setting up Jacob Fatu and Sol Sikoa at SummerSlam. So what needed to happen in terms of the results, just the execution I thought was a bit poor. And Drew McIntyre against Randy Orton just kind of it was a shorter match, which a lot of times people need to realize shorter matches usually mean better. A lot of times doesn't necessarily mean bad, but the whole thing with Jelly Roll involved was so dumb. You had Randy Orton picks up the win, and Logan Paul attacks, and then Jelly Roll comes in, and he pushes Logan Paul away, and then takes a massive Claymore from Drew McIntyre. And then now, of course, you saw backstage, we had a segment between Randy and Jelly Roll, which sets up the tag match between Randy and Jelly Roll against Logan Paul and Drew McIntyre at SummerSlam, which is just vile. Like, what are we doing? Are we serious? Like, and I like Jelly Roll. As an artist, I think he's a good singer. I have some of his songs to play with, but and look, he looks really good. He lost a bunch of weight, so kudos to him. And like his musical performance at SummerSlam last year was very good. One of the better ones in recent memory. The chokeslam Austin Theory was a fun moment. To put him in a match with one of the greatest of all time, Randy Orton, Drew McIntyre. So his first feud back, Drew McIntyre. That guy has been booked, by the way, so horrible since the Punk feud. He had one of the best feuds in maybe the last decade with CM Punk. And since then, they started the Kill the Bloodline tour, and they just dropped it for no reason. They had him feud with Sami Zayn, which was fun, and they just dropped that out of nowhere. They had him feud with Damian Priest, which was a pretty good feud. Then they just didn't wrap it up at WrestleMania like they should have, and then he takes the month off. He comes back. He's feuding with Randy Orton, and all of a sudden Jelly Roll is now involved. Now he's in the match with Jelly Roll and Logan Paul. Like, what are we doing? You know, Carmelo Hayes can't get on freaking television, but Jelly Roll gets a freaking match with two former world champions and one all-time great at freaking SummerSlam. At the first ever two-night SummerSlam ever at MetLife Stadium in New Jersey. What a joke. Can't stand that. That is horrendous booking. I mean, Seth Rollins against LA Knight, obviously abrupt ending to that match. LA Knight picks up the win. So Rollins hurt his knee on that moonsault. Unfortunately, it seems to be a pretty legit injury. Doesn't look great, unfortunately. It's a shame because he is the main guy right now. He's involved in so many storylines. Really is a shame. But Seth Rollins, and he was supposed to win the match. He caught an orbital on the fly, so kudos to him. Feel really bad for him. He's getting an MRI to that, and I think he'll address it on Raw. So hopefully it's not too bad. If it's torn ACL, that's going to be tough because he's going to obviously. I don't see it anyway. He's going to be there for SummerSlam. Hopefully, it's at least something like a torn meniscus, which he suffered right before the Elimination Chamber last year, a little over a year ago. So maybe the return will be a little longer than normal because it's the second time in the last little over a year that he's had torn meniscus. However, he only missed like a month with that. I mean, he didn't really wrestle for probably 2 or 3 months, but he was on television like a month later. And so he'd probably be out a few months. I would think for Lucky Survivor Series. Probably even close to Royal Rumble if that possibly. But Victoria CL, he's gonna at this point it's gonna be closer to like WrestleMania next year. So hopefully it's not horrible. Hope for the best, like Triple H said. We had Goldberg against Gunther. Goldberg, of course, loses. Gunther retains. That was actually a pretty decent match. Goldberg, the reason that he's retiring, he looked utterly washed. I mean, looks great for a 58-year-old guy. It was cool to have the old WCW guy there knock on his door. That was a nice touch, but kudos to Gunther, though. To get a 14-minute solid match out of Goldberg, good for him. But obviously no Seth cash in, which was not even planned. Nothing to do with the injury. So very, very disappointing. And they cut Goldberg's retirement speech short, which I'm not even that mad about. I need to see that. Triple H, he addressed the booking backlash in the post conference. Basically said he's been called upon when he wasn't really ready. I have a lot of respect for him. So basically, it was like a pity, like to thank him for Vince's BS. You gave him a legit feud. Like that wasn't needed, and you didn't need to tell off Jay to make a title match. Like that wasn't needed. Just I don't mind him getting a match. It's on Sidelines main event, which isn't that big of a deal in his backyard in Atlanta. Obviously his son was there. His son walked out from which was cool. He had the moment with Gunther during the match. Had a little out there where they kind of got into when he was in the stands. And also they had their little spat a few months ago, so like it makes sense. Like that was Goldberg's last opponent, but just the way that they executed it was pretty bad, I thought. But to Evolution, which was much better than Saturday Night's main event, we started off with the triple threat for the Intercontinental title. Becky Lynch defending against Lyra Valkyria and Bayley. Becky Lynch retains. Very good match, a very fast pace, really good pacing. Overall was very good. It was a nice way to start the night. I think this was a perfect opener because the build was so horrible for this. Look at the card. Like, all right, there's a lot of talented wrestlers on the card. Maybe we get some returns. I don't know. We didn't end up getting. But but it's like, do I really care though? And then they go out and have that. It's like okay, these ladies came to play at least. At least it was a way for them to get you invested. Then you had Jessie Jane retain the NXT Women's Championship against Jordan Grace. Of course, Blake Monroe kind of turned on her there, hitting her with the a belt in the back after originally, being convinced by Jordan Grace to help her out there because Jessie Jane's got her own little crew. So we'll see where this leads. But by the way, Jessie Jane, she's very good. I mean, we all knew Jordan Grace is great, but Jessie Jane, she is utterly talented. And Blake Monroe, I don't know how tall she was, first of all. That should be a really good feud. Then you had the Fatal 4-Way Women's Tag Match. Raquel and Roxanne retain. Of course, they face the Kabuki Warriors, the NXT team of Sol Ruka and what's her name? Can't remember her name. I apologize. And the Kabuki Warriors. Good to see the Kabuki Warriors. So Zarya is Sol's partner. It was good to see the Kabuki Warriors back together. Asuka and Kairi Sane. This was overall a solid match. Of course, Luxus and Charlotte Flair, which is really, really gaining on me. Luxus has done a good job making Charlotte likable, which I think was possible. And Sol Ruka, holy crap, she is something else. I cannot wait till she gets to the main roster. This is a good match, I thought. And Roxanne and Raquel retain, which I did agree with. I thought that was the right move. This is setting up for Liv's return. So Liv come back, like, tell Roxanne, you took my man and my title and everything, and now we're going to feud. And then we had Tiffany Stratton against Trish Stratus, the Hall of Famer, for the WWE Women's Championship. That was a decent match. Tiffany retains. Trish has been full-time in probably 15 years. But like Trish Stratus, I don't know how she's only 49. She looks incredible. Kudos to them for putting on a solid match. They didn't do anything more than that. A very solid match. Did what they needed to do. Then you had Jade defeats Naomi in the holds bar match. That was a really good match. Love the finish with Jade hitting the removal off the top rope through a table. That was an awesome match. Great finish. Jade wins. I'm excited for her push. And then the Battle Royal, Stephanie Vaquer wins. So she eliminates Lash Legend, who looked really good. She put on a performance for the ages in that. And it was cool to see Nikki Bella having an extended run in that Battle Royale. And she's back full time. I'm very happy about that. Stephanie Vaquer wins the Battle Royale. There's a couple little promos. Cool to, for her to come up. So like, yeah, English is my first language. I'm kind of working on it. It was cool for her to say that. And I understood her fine. Obviously, Stephanie McMahon the question to her in Spanish and did a pretty good job. And for the last much, like she's not Spanish. It was cool to see her there, which was the right move. And then we had Io Sky against Rhea Ripley. Was an amazing match. And Naomi cashes in. One of the best cash-ins ever. Naomi cashes in middle of the match. Of course, used the briefcase to her advantage. Triple threat because no disqualification. Incredible match. Io and Rhea deserve a lot of flowers. They put on a banger. Of course, the referee was knocked out for a while, so they took it into the crowd. That crap was awesome. And a great catch from Naomi. Shocks the world. She's the new Women's World Championship. What a finish. What a main event. I'm very excited to see what's next. That's all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long. Have a great day.